Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to 2CTV with another. What's going on here? There's a lot of hair here. With another live stream, we are here to review what just happened in Manchester at the Tory party conference. Before we start the analysing Rishi Sunak's speech, which is a little bit problematic, although objectively well delivered, well done, Rishi. But this is basically the end of conservatism as we know it, and I'm going to explain why. Before we do that, a quick update on what we have been talking about on this channel today. Following the raid of the Metropolitan Police raid of Lawrence Fox's home earlier this morning, the latest update is that Lawrence Fox has now officially been arrested by the Met Police. So it wasn't just that his house was raided. It wasn't just that they had 5, 6, 7 police officers going around the house collecting evidence for a crime that hasn't been committed yet. They've actually arrested him as well. Following that update, as you guys now know, if you have seen the video, Lawrence Fox and Calvin Robinson have also, both of them, been sacked by GB News following the suspension. We don't know what's happening with Dan Wootton. All right, let's talk about this problematic speech of Rishi Sunak now, because this is the beginning of the consensus that has been in this country and in the West for the past 20-ish years, which is social democracy. Social Democrats and their agenda have been here for a long time, but this is a confirmation that it's not changing. If you want to change status quo, unless you're going to have a revolution, you're not going to do it. When Liz Truss tried to introduce some sort of sound money and small government economic liberalism, they got rid of her. If you want to be more of a nationalist conservative, they're not going to let you do that either. Social democracy is here to stay for now, unfortunately, unless we have a change, complete change in politics. But in this speech, there were a couple of key points that we heard from Rishi Sunak. One of them was part of it was political, obviously, attacking Keir Starmer, saying Keir Starmer is obsessed with Europe, even though Rishi Sunak himself is obsessed with the whole world. But there is this issue with the HS2, the high-speed rail too. The Tory party were all over the place throughout the whole conference. They didn't know what they wanted, and eventually Rishi Sunak announced his big decision on HS2. Because half the country want HS2 to be completely cancelled, it's a waste of money. The other half saying, well, just keep building it, keep going. And he went with a hybrid. Essentially, we're having a situation where HS2 is going to stop. It's not going to go all the way to the north. But from Birmingham upwards, obviously from London to Birmingham, and Birmingham, the rest of HS2, which will be cancelled, the train will still go, but it will not be high speed. So it will still help with capacity. That's what they wanted. These control freak authoritarians, nanny state idiots. But he's going to save £36 billion, and he's going to use that £36 billion on actually the infrastructure, local infrastructure in the north and in the Midlands. I'm going to give you the details in a second. So that's the one highlight, policy-wise speaking. But in terms of authoritarianism and social democracy, part of the speech, Rishi Sunak has confirmed the the introduction of prohibition in this country. Yes, prohibition is here to stay. So, according to the Prime Minister, the government knows better than you, and it is here to save you from yourself. He believes that only the state can run your life. So, the government will be banning cigarettes and it will be banning vape. Which vape was supposed to be helping you to quit cigarettes, but that didn't go too well. And also we have some reaction in the live chat. We're going to come back to it. But so the authoritarian side of the speech, which was banning cigarettes and all this, which is basically coming from collectivism. Some conservatives like that because some conservatives were high Tory, traditional conservatives. They are authoritarian. These are the people who want to basically just hang everybody if you commit a crime. So it kind of pandered to that side of the country. So kind of popular. Because people in this country, whether you like it or not, as a whole, they're socially conservative and economically slightly to the left. They want to hang the pedos, fund the NHS. And people like to ban things for other people. So we all have our prejudice. You know, if my neighbor is fat, I'm going to do something against them. Oh, we need sugar tax. You know, they ban that person from getting on a flight. We like that. We like... we like our prejudice, but we do like individual liberty. So the hypocrisy always stays, which actually has been a power for the British culture. The idiocy of wishy-washy Rishi Sunak and his speech is that he didn't really know exactly which side to pander to. So he had the social democracy side. So the government will tell you what to do because the government knows better. And we will obviously raise taxes. You can't even use a vape to quit cigarettes. People like that because they're like, oh yeah, it is kids going around with their vapes, smoking and everything else. I don't like it in the high street, so let's ban that. But the biggest problem we now actually have is the fact that he's also trying to go against the woke culture, right? So people think, oh, that is conservative. Rishi Sunak is now conservative. He's not conservative. He's just talking nonsense. Look at his speech. The first part of the speech we're going to show you is about the woke culture. Technically, he's right, but there's the but.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
Oh, the Tory crowd, the sheeple. It's that easy to please them. This is cosplay conservatism. This is not even real conservatism. He's saying the right things. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. And we know that. And we have to do that. We have to say that. We have to fight against the woke culture and the extreme gender lobby. But this man has no idea what he's talking about. He had to be briefed for days and weeks. They're like, what is this gender thing? What is that flag? What is that pink thing? Oh, is this a new problem now? Okay, I'm going to put it in my speech. What do I say? Do I say a man is a man? Okay, good. What about a woman? A woman is a woman. All right, good. Anything else? Everything else? Babies are babies. Yeah, trees are trees. Good. If I say this, will people think I'm conservative now? Good. Let's do that. All right, let's forget about globalism. That is what Rishi Sunak's advisors are telling him to do. He's obviously stating the obvious. And we have to fight against the woke culture. We know there's been a left-wing takeover of our institutions, but these people have allowed it to happen for years. Suddenly they've decided to become conservative. Why? Because there's an election. Policy-wise, it's social democracy. Policy-wise, conservatism is completely been cancelled. Rhetoric, oh yeah, a man is a man, a woman is a woman, depending on what she's dressed like. But he also talked about virtue signaling. He clearly does not know what virtue signaling means. He had to be Googling it. Like, advisors, can you tell me what's going on? And I've heard common sense is a good thing. And I've heard this virtue signaling is a bad thing. Can you form me a sentence? And the advisors went to ChatGPT and asked AI chatbots to say, what should we say? This is what he said.
Your values and your priorities should be expressed in everything the public sector does. Too often, it is not. In too many parts of our permanent state, virtue signalling has replaced common sense. As Suella has said, there is no such thing as a minor crime. If the police tolerate crime and antisocial behaviour in any form, we'll have more crime of all sorts.
It's clear, obviously reading from teleprompter. You can see in his face, his facial expression changes. When he talks about things that he knows about and he cares about, he smiles and he's like, yeah, I'm Will from In Between Us. And then when he doesn't know, he squints. He's like, yeah, common sense, where is it gone? Virtue signaling taking over. Crime is bad. Crime is safety is good. I'm Rishi Sunak, I'm Prime Minister. Oh, trust me, I'm a conservative. Believe me, I hate the EU. So that's what he said. And then he started talking about his skin colour. This part was actually pretty good. But again, this is what I would call Tory virtue signaling. It's kind of interesting because it's not that bad. And I'm not just going to completely just complain the whole time. Objectively, it was well delivered, this last part I'm going to show you. And this is proper Tory red meat. When they have a brown politician or a woman or someone disabled in a wheelchair or something, they always use that saying, hey, you could be this. You could be on a wheelchair and you could be a Tory. Whee! So it's actually not too bad. But it's supposed to be attacking the woke lefties who are obsessed with identity politics by talking about identity politics.
The people of North Yorkshire were not interested in my colour, but my character. Never let anyone tell you that this is a racist country. It is not. My story is a British story. A story about how a family can go from arriving here with little to Downing Street in 3 generations. What does the Conservative Party offer a family of immigrants? The chance to become Energy Secretary, Business Secretary, Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, even the chance to become Prime Minister.
What did the Conservative Party offer someone who's just a yes man and is just there to deliver leaflets for the party and not have his own opinions and just obey to the globalist establishment agenda? Yeah, they made them Prime Minister, Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, Education Secretary, all the secretaries in the world. Yeah, that's what the... Nothing to do with your skin colour, you idiots. That's the whole point. They are saying that we should be proud, and the Tory party doesn't really see skin colour. To a point, he's right. And I used to be a Tory. I used to be in the Tory party, and I know that it's not really, they're not racist, and this country is also not a racist country. We know that. Don't listen to the BLM movement. Don't listen to the political left. But the problem we have is that the Tory party, that was supposed to be the home of conservatism, but not just conservatism, liberty and common sense, these people allowed the political left to grow their identity politics. And now he's doing cosplay conservatism. He is pretending to be pro-individual liberty and social responsibility. Oh, family values, but the government will tell you what to do. Idiocy, idiocy, idiocy. Now, he is attacking Keir Starmer during this speech, saying that Keir Starmer is obsessed with Europe. This is the same Rishi Sunak, who's made a number of negotiations and agreements with the Europeans to surrender our rights, to give more power to the European Union. That's interesting. This is the same man who's attacking the Labour Party, saying, oh, Labour wants more migration. Under the Labour government, we're going to have more migration. I'm like, more than now? Under the current government, you guys have not been able to stop the boats. Not just that, but legal mass economic migration. You cannot go out there and pretend to be a conservative and do social democracy. You are raising taxes. You are banning people from doing sin. The announcement on banning cigarettes and banning vape is the best news and best update for drug dealers in the United Kingdom. Soon, you can buy cheap and tax-free cigarettes and vapes from your local drug dealer, regardless of your age. So, great news for drug dealers. Whee! They can now sell cigarettes and vape as well as cocaine and cannabis. Do you think by banning something, you're going to eliminate it? You have not understood humanity. This is the fascinating thing about authoritarians, whether they are traditional, kind of paternal conservative authoritarians or socialist authoritarians, or they're just nanny state authoritarians. They believe when you ban something, it's gone and the whole society stops using it. Instead of actually educating people, instead of actually phasing it out, instead of actually encouraging people to become better as society and care about their community, care about their family, care about their own body and their own values. No, don't worry about all that. Just allow this nonsensical a globalist mentality of there's no difference between cultures, we don't need borders, we don't need flags, everybody is the same, but it's okay. We're going to ban things from you. And also, you don't need to drive around. You could just walk around your neighborhood. Everything will be around your house for 15 minutes. And soon you don't even need meat. You could just eat plastic meat and fake meat. So, but the government knows better. We are here to save you from yourselves. The details of HS2 policy is actually quite interesting because that, logically speaking, was a good compromise for the Tory government. Because, I mean, I personally would have wanted the whole project to be cancelled, but that's not happening. But you couldn't have continued the whole way. So they are stopping it in the middle of the country from London. The rest of the country, it will still go, but it's not going to be high speed. So it's going to help with capacity, but it's going to save us £36 billion. He's going to use that £36 billion, which is going to be interesting. £19.8 billion of it was going to be spent in the north, £9.6 billion will be spent in the Midlands, £6.5 billion spent the rest of the country, and this is to improve local transport infrastructure. So this is the whole point, and I've been ranting about this for years, saying northeast, northwest, connect that. East Midlands, West Midlands, connect that. Make things easier for those people. Stop trying to get everybody to come to London. Stop trying to connect the country to London. Everyone's sick and tired of London. Not everything should be in the city, for the love of God. Anyway, the £19.8 billion for the north, if you break it down, that's £2 billion for a new train station at Bradford, for a new connection to Manchester. All right, it's a lot of money, big money for Bradford. £2.5 billion to deliver a new mass transit system in West Yorkshire. Yep. Of course, he's going to do things for Yorkshire because that's where his constituency is, Rishi. £3 billion for upgraded and electrified lines between Manchester and Sheffield, Sheffield and Leeds, Sheffield and Hull and Leeds. This is very, very good. And a new £3.3 billion fund for road resurfacing. Considering we're not going to have cars eventually at some point, this is a waste of money on the road. Obviously, that's a joke. They need to do that, but they don't believe in it. In terms of the Midlands, that's also important to talk about the £9.6 billion for the Midlands. So that will be £1.75 billion on funding the Midlands Rail Hub, connecting 50 stations together. Sexy. £1.5 billion guaranteed local transport funding for the new East Midlands mayor. Shut him up, basically. £1 billion extra local transport funding for the West Midlands city region, and £2.2 billion for local transport outside the city regions. So, yeah, sexy policies, right? But this is all just big government deciding for these regions and towns and counties. So it's still better than HS2 going full on project, because HS2 was not just going to destroy the countryside, it was also a waste of taxpayers' money, and it was also a little bit problematic with the helping capacity. So that's what we have. Also, if you want to find this whole information that I mentioned, it is I'm actually unfortunately getting just the latest numbers, because the latest numbers on the East Midlands, the only place that's been updated is the BBC. It's on the BBC's website if you want to check out the £9.6 billion breakdown on the Midlands. It is just the first page of the BBC. Anyway, let's go back to Rishi Sunak, because one of the main areas that he was talking about was about pretending to be a conservative, right? And for those of you, if you joined late, I'm just going to show you a bit of a reminder of what is this cosplay conservatism is about. Because he was saying the right things. He was saying we need to fight against wokeism. A man is a man, and a woman is probably a woman.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
Oh, it's so cute. They're all so cute and happy and conservative. Yeah, we are fighting against socialism, I think. I think that's what we're doing. That's what our advisors told us. It's so embarrassing. But focusing on these spendings and everything else, let's go to the live chat, get your reaction. We got Stephen Horn saying, the Northeast will miss out again. Teesside always loses that. That's actually true, which is where I'm from. Teesside had a bit of some good news in 2017-18 because of Ben, I've got his name, the mayor of Teesside. But the problem with that was that was Theresa May's government making some promises. Nothing happened. So Stephen is right about the Northeast. Is all this money for more cameras? Fortunately not this time. Although they say one thing, they do another thing. Right. When have any of these infrastructure projects ever been on budget? Never. This is the whole problem with this hybrid situation we have in the West, where they either do hybrid of government control but using private contractors, which means the private contractors, companies, take advantage of governments by signing lucrative contracts for themselves. When governments in the West try to do infrastructure themselves, like nationalization and taking over infrastructure, because they haven't done it, they're out of practice compared to China or those countries, socialist countries. They don't know what to do, and that the whole thing completely fails. And you can't really do, I mean, at this point, unfortunately, you can't do the Victorian times era sort of thing. You can't just allow local areas and private companies to do it themselves, because people will freak out. So there is no right, correct solution. The only thing you can do is reform the whole of the system, the state, so everything from the bureaucrats, and bring in more business-minded people to run these departments so that they could actually be more savvy with project management. A decade of talking. I know, talking, nothing gets done. Nothing has changed. Link Johnson says, I wonder how much they were paid to clap. No, you don't need to give money to Tories or the Labour activists to pay. They drink the Kool-Aid just before the speech anyway. They get excited when they see the leader, the atmosphere. You sit there like, wee, it's so nice. Look at the cameras. We all clap like idiots. This is the whole point of political parties. You become a member. You create your own echo chamber. It happens to all of them, by the way. And the leader could just stand there and say whatever. So whether you're a Lib Dem activist, or a Labour activist, or you're a Tory activist, or a Reform UK activist, which, by the way, the conference that they're going to have is going to be in a few days. I'm going to go as well. It's the same thing. When you become a party political activist, unless you do critical thinking, you just sit there. Richard Tice would say whatever. You're like, yeah, Richard Tice for Prime Minister, or Ed Davey for Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak for Prime Minister, Keir Starmer for King of Beer and Curry. It just becomes, you just follow leaders. You just follow the party instead of actually following the ideas. Like, I'm just going to shout Tories for government, Labour for government, Reform UK for government. I'm like, well, why? What if they just come up with something stupid in a minute? And they do. They usually do. All right. Let's see what we have from the live chat. Barry says tobacco is the second biggest income in tax, so he's biting his nose off to despite his face. They want us to be alcoholics, as he is not banning that. Yep. Bear in mind, most politicians drink, hypocrites. And also, this man, not Barry, Rishi Sunak is a teetotal. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, so of course he's going to ban anything that's fun. And the tobacco thing is interesting because, so there are the other socialists and authoritarian Tories who are going out saying, yeah, I don't like that people smoke, ooh, smells, and I think it creates a burden on the NHS, right? the idiots don't really understand that, firstly, those who choose to smoke will die sooner, potentially, right? So that's actually less of a burden on the pension system. Secondly, the tax they are paying on the tobacco will actually fund the NHS. So when they say, well, the people who smoke need to pay more for the NHS to be used because yet they do. They pay extra tax on the tobacco. They are already paying premium NHS service. So just because the NHS doesn't work doesn't mean you have to ban people from doing things. It's basically all normal healthcare systems are there to protect the people, right? To treat people in the world. In this country, you exist for the NHS to survive. You are not allowed to get sick. You have to stay at home to save the NHS. The other countries, their healthcare system is there to save you, but you exist to save the NHS. It makes no sense. So instead of reforming the NHS to create capacity for it, so if someone wants to voluntarily get fat or smoke or whatever, and they are paying extra for it anyway for their service, just let the system be better so they could treat everybody rather than just have a massive waiting list. They're taking our tax money, but they're not actually even treating us. Oh dear. Julie says, I bet his wife's suit wasn't from Primark. Do we have socialists in the group chat? Politics of envy. I don't really care if Rishi Sunak's wife is rich or Rishi Sunak is rich. I'm not one of those. I don't do the socialist politics of envy thing. Some people have a problem with people who have money. I have a problem with people with money who take advantage of it to have access, undemocratic access That includes, for example, some of the financial arrangements of Rishi Sunak's wife and her dad with some of the companies around the world. But I don't really mind what sort of suit she wears. So it doesn't really matter if Elon Musk in his income grows, his wealth grows. As long as I also have an opportunity to grow my wealth and income, I don't really care. It's not taking anything from me. Vampy says cocaine is cheaper. Well, no, soon. And by the banning cigarettes and vape, as I said earlier, this is great news for drug dealers in Britain, because soon you can actually get cheaper and tax-free cigarettes and vape from your local drug dealer, just like cocaine. So, so actually, for proper smokers, this is not really the worst news, because they're going to be paying less for cigarettes, and they're going to get proper imported cigarettes as well. Right. Karen says something genius. Absolutely right. The biggest effect on our health is sugar. Of all the so-called generalized words, drugs and addictive things, substances, sugar is one of the worst ones, and nobody talks about sugar. And by the way, I'm not saying it to go on some sort of socialist rant of banning sugar like Jamie Oliver, but I'm just saying that of all the dangerous things, this is so dangerous, the sugar thing, because it's consistent. We do it every day. It's not just that makes us fat or give us diabetes. It's linked to everything else. A lot of cancer issues, a lot of other issues, and teeth and everything else. But no one cares, because that obviously the connection to the lobby and the taxation. It's like the alcohol lobby. The governments have no bravery to do anything about this. What else do we have? Tony says, looks like Nigel Farage might join the Tories to help them again. Yeah, there was a lot of rumours over the last couple of days. He's been enjoying his time at Tory party conference. He became the star of the Tory party conference instead of the actual government ministers, which is quite fascinating. But I do see one scenario where Nigel Farage could come back as a Tory. It's if Rishi loses the election, he resigns, and the whole at the top of the Tory party go away, like Jeremy Hunt and the others. And then if one of the friends of Farage, like Priti Patel, good close friends, if she becomes leader, or Suella, I don't know, then actually I could see Nigel Farage coming back, because Nigel Farage would think to himself, we need to save the country. Will I be better off starting a new party, or just join the Tories from scratch and build the Tories again? I'm not saying I'm supporting it or I'm not supporting it. I'm just saying that's the scenario I could see happening. Also, depends on how Reform UK does. If Reform UK flops in the next election, if they just get 7%, 8%, or even 10% and no seats, then if I were Nigel Farage, I would just say, well, if we could get rid of the top of the Tory party, we could just take over the Tory party and make it Conservative again. David says, Maya, did your video about Lawrence Fox's home being raided get taken down? It vanished all of a sudden. No, it's not. So when you go on the homepage of the YouTube channel, you have two tabs, videos and live. If you go on the videos, you're not going to see it there, because that was a live stream. For the live streams, you have to always click on the tab that says live. You see it on that list. So yeah, it's still there. I can confirm that when you go on the live tab, you can see the Lawrence Fox video. All right, we'll keep you guys posted on everything else. I bet the Met are watching you, Maya. Yeah, the Metropolitan Police have good taste with when it comes to YouTube channels. They're definitely watching me. But we are going to be talking about Liz Truss later on, because Elizabeth is rebelling again. I know, she rebels every week against Rishi Sunak. She's doing it again. And she's going to be voting against the Prime Minister. Ooh, it's going to be sexy. And we're going to be talking about anything we are hearing from and about Lawrence Fox as well. Let me know what you think about this video. Leave your comments below. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.